friends, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I feel like we're very close to each other right now. It's fine. But in today's video, I am going to be talking about a video game that I finished with my fiance like I think a month ago. Made the waves on TikTok and all that stuff because it's a very popular video game. And that is Split Fiction by Hazelight Studios. This is a co-op game, so I have a lot to talk about. So if you like this kind of content from me, let me know in the comments down below. Hit like, subscribe for more stuff from me. And let's just kind of get into the video because like I said, I have a lot to talk about. So if you're new to this channel or kind of new to the state of how I do the video game reviews, I've done one so far, so this is my second one, my sophomore review. But I'm just gonna go over the synopsis. If there are any like major trigger warnings, if I forget about it, I'll just throw it up in the description down below. Things you should know about for the video game, because I'm not someone who's a very good gamer, so I think it's always nice to know about certain things of mechanics that might make things a little more difficult for me playing, and then any other information like the gameplay, the story, and my last thoughts on whether or not I recommend the game. So with that being said, let's start off with the synopsis. So this video game is, like I said, a co-op video game. You follow two writers, Zoe and Mio, who among another group of amazing writers, you know, assumingly, have been asked to participate in like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of situation. Everyone else kind of goes into they get into a pod and they go under kind of a trance, I want to say, or a nap time. And Mio, the cynical sci-fi writer, kind of feels like this is a little weird, very weird. So as she's protesting, saying she's not very comfortable with this, they're trying to force her into the pod, and she accidentally falls into Zoe's pod, and the two of them kind of end up merging their minds together throughout this process. And you get to see them jump between the two worlds that they create. Zoe being the bright and optimistic fantasy writer, and Mio being the very cynical sci-fi writer. And you jump between these different worlds in order for you guys to keep your stories and kind of break the system from within. So things you should know about, or at least coming from someone who is a light video game player, and you know, maybe this is your first time playing a Hazelight video game. I have played a Hazelight video game before. I played It Takes Two with my fiance back when we were still boyfriend and girlfriend and not fiancés. So I kind of knew what to expect. I knew that each world would have its own kind of quirky little mechanic that changes how the world works around you, and that it's going to be very collaborative. You have to very much work with your partner to be able to play this game. I knew that this was going to be another platformer because It Takes Two is also a platformer, and there's like I said, an amazing amount of teamwork you have to do to be able to finish the puzzles that are currently occurring in the game. This game in particular is pretty meta. I would say there are a lot of moments that kind of like, I wouldn't say break the fourth wall, but poke fun at certain things that are going on within the game. There's a lot of like, I guess, like memeable moments, I would say, where it feels very meta, it's very funny, and it's also very unserious despite the very serious topic that it's trying to cover, which is that AI art cannot replace real art, which I'll get into later. So I feel like if you're looking for a more, I guess, like serious game, this game probably isn't the one for you because it is a very lighthearted game despite the more heavier contents that it does have. So something that my fiance said, if you're playing with someone who is a huge gamer like my fiance is, the gamer buddy will have to have a lot of patience with the non-gamer buddy. Just because, again, it's platformers, there's a lot of timing involved, there's a lot of teamwork and a lot of like thinking that maybe you don't really do when you play video. I do try not to think a lot when I play video games, just saying. And I feel like if you're playing with someone, whether it's a partner or a friend or a sibling that kind of likes to neg you and you guys kind of bicker a lot, I would say to err on the side of caution, because since there is a lot of teamwork aspects and there's a lot of like, again, just lots of moments where you can shit on each other playing the game, you might end up getting into arguments more often than not if you're a couple that tends to neg on each other or bicker. But if you're someone who has a lot of patience for your partner who doesn't play video games, you can have a lot of fun with it. Like I said, this entire game is just a gigantic commentary on AI. The point of the game of you being in the pod is that it's suctioning all of the story ideas that you have in your head, and they're going to use it to kind of build this mainframe system that can create unlimited amounts of stories without ever needing to be written down or plotted out. It's a huge commentary on AI and how you can't replace actual art with artificial intelligence. If you're not into all of that, you know, if you're someone who doesn't think art in general is political, you probably should stay away from this video game. most video games should probably stay away from. But if you're interested in seeing kind of how they tackle this concept, might be the game for you. Moving on to the gameplay of this, again, it's a platformer. There's a lot of jumping, there's a lot of timing, and those are things that I struggle with as a person, as a gamer, as someone who's living and breathing on this earth. I have a very love-hate relationship with platformers. Like, I love to play them, but they don't love me very much back. I tend to fall and die a lot, which is why, like, my fiance's advice is that if you have to have a lot of patience working with a partner who does not play video games very often, because if you might lose patience. Yeah, as long as you guys, I think, can laugh at it, it shouldn't be too bad. With that being said, there are certain chase scenes, like there's a handful of chase scenes on there. And I'm going to say this because it happened to me a couple of times, and I've seen it happen to a lot of people on TikTok, that if you die at a certain point during this chase scene, you will just keep respawning and dying. Like, there's no way around it. It's just the timing of the game. So after a while, the game will just let you sit there and wait until your partner finishes the entire thing out. It's extremely frustrating, I'm aware, and it definitely had at times where I was like, I could have made that if they didn't have this aspect. I could have made that, but the timing just wasn't right. So I think that, like, you have to have a lot of grace with yourself, because these chase scenes and these platforming scenes can get a little rough. There was a point in the game where, like, you have to work together and, like, time everything, like your jumps together, and I wanted to turn the game off. Like, I wanted to be like, I'm done, I can't do this, why is this so unnecessarily difficult? And literally there were a couple situations like that. Jake had to be like, okay, go, stop, jump, go, stop, and then we'd have to count each other down, basically. Again, lots of teamwork in this game, so if that's not something you're gonna vibe with, or you know that that is not, I'd say, a strong suit in your partnership or your friendship, like communication and teamwork, probably shouldn't play this game before it, opens up all the cracks in there. Like I said, each level comes with a different mechanic. I didn't think the mechanics of each level were very hard to figure out. I think they were a lot of fun, and it definitely gives you tutorials to kind of tell you how each mechanic works. So I always have a lot of fun. I like guessing what the next mechanic will be, and I like seeing how they change the mechanics so that the worlds are very different from each other, despite them all being within the same genre. The puzzles in this game are very much centered around teamwork. It's a co-op game. Obviously, it's going to be around teamwork. But like I said, it's going to take a lot of communication and a lot of teamwork and patience on both ends for you to be able to move on and for you to get through the puzzle. So there were definitely moments where we got very frustrated or we couldn't figure out a puzzle, and we kind of had to take a minute to, like, map out what we're going to do or figure out how this puzzle works in which way. So again, lots of patience. Another thing is that I personally think there were a lot of kind of more difficult areas. Like, I feel like they were unnecessarily difficult. I'm not gonna talk about which, like, world or which, like, genre was more difficult, but I definitely will agree that one genre, in my opinion, was unnecessarily more difficult than the other genre. And there were times after we got to a certain point in the game where I just got extremely frustrated with all the mechanics of that one genre, because I felt like it was just upping the ante in an unnecessary manner. Because in the other one, the antes were upped, but it wasn't terrible, you can manage. But this one was like cranked to 10 and then kept cranking until you broke it, which was again very frustrating. Like, I really had a moment where I was like, I don't think I can play this game anymore, because I don't know why these levels are very difficult and so unnecessarily so. Moving on to my thoughts on the game as a whole, the story aspect of this game was actually one of my favorite things. I love seeing kind of Mio and Zoe unfold their backstories as we went through the different levels, and we get to see them become closer friends as they get to kind of go through this rush process of getting to know each other. It was really fun, and I felt like Mio and Zoe's stories were very beautiful and very heartbreaking in their own way, with Mio's story being highly focused on, like, depression and the anger she feels sort of system that is broken, and Zoe trying to masquerade her grief as, like, something lighthearted and something that she can't really face. I think those were very beautiful, and they kind of came to a nice little conclusion. If I had to be nitpicky, I feel like the end of the game, like, the game ends, and I think that was funny and it was very meta, but I think I wanted to see more of the consequences for the company for trying to steal ideas unknowingly from the writers, because the writers knew that they were gonna like become like, it was implied that it was gonna become like a video game or like some kind of like show that they were pulling from, and instead it was them like taking these ideas and putting it into like a larger system for them to continue to put out video games and content without needing to hire writers. It was fun because each level as well had a story within the story overarching, and you can tell that the creators had a lot of love in trying to figure out how these stories tie together and how they can kind of bring the stories back to the main plot line. I think I had a lot of fun figuring everything out. Despite my frustrations with one specific genre, I found each world super fun to be in. I'm not the biggest sci-fi girly, but I liked how they gave the mechanics of each sci-fi world, and I like how it was grounded in kind of similar themes, as Mio is a very cynical writer, so we have a lot of like environmental themes going on. We have a lot of like abuse of power and corruption, whereas Zoe's fantasy is a little more lighthearted. I would say probably closer to like middle grade writing. She's writing for a much younger audience. It's very like lighthearted and fun, and it has its dark moments, but it's supplemented with a lot of softness and yeah, like a lot of softness and a lot of like intimacy with kind of the mechanics, certain mechanics you have. You can tell, or at least I can tell, that the writers had a lot of fun with the sci-fi aspects of the world, like mechanic wise, and that the writers had a lot of fun writing the stories for the fantasy aspect. They upped the ante each story or each world that you went into, and it was fun. It never felt super, except for one world. We're not gonna talk about it. It never felt super like crazy, and it never felt like it deviated from like you can tell that this idea came from Zoe. You can tell this idea would have originated from Mio, because the themes and like the overarching like goals that they had were very, very similar to who they were as a person. And it never felt out of character for them to be writing in one way or the other. Because there's such a huge concept on like AI and how you can't use machines to replace art, it's just not a thing. You can tell that the game makers, the writers, the creators of this game put a lot of thought and love into the stories they were writing, into the concepts they were creating, and the fun that they were having trying to make the story to prove a point that AI cannot replace real art. And there's no way that something as mechanical or as detached as AI can, to be able to create art that has story, that has heart, that has layers and dimension to it. It's just not possible. And I feel like they really put all their love and thought into that concept and just ran with it. My overall thoughts. I honestly would recommend this game to anyone. Love, like, partners in life, siblings, friends. It's a lot of fun, and it'll be a good chance for you guys to practice safely, I suppose. Practice good communication and teamwork. Very much a team building kind of exercise. I think if you're two people who can laugh at each other's mistakes and just have fun and not take it super seriously and not neg each other if things are getting hard or difficult, or just trying to make your partner feel yucky, then I would recommend it. But if you are that kind of like budding partnership, relationship, friendship, siblingship, or whatever, then this probably will cause some fights. I can't really tell if people have actually fought playing this game, but there's enough of people talking about it that it makes me think that people have been fighting playing this game. Overall, it's a very fun game regardless of the messaging behind it and the themes they're trying to put out. And I'm very just excited to see what Hazelight comes out with in the future, because It Takes Two is amazing. Split Fiction was even better, and I didn't have to kill an elephant for it. So I can't imagine that they'll only go, I can only imagine they're gonna go up from here. But that is it for my review of Split Fiction. Like I said, if you guys like this video, let me know in the comments down below. If you have played this game, let's chat about it in the comments. And if you're interested at all in any other videos that I have, I do try to post some video game reviews out there. I'm mainly a book channel. So that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video, and stay safe until then. Bye.